Okay, sure. On the eve of World War II, about 78,000 Jews lived in Greece. After the German invasion of April 1941, the country was divided into three occupational zones: the German, the Bulgarian, and the Italian. The largest Jewish community of Greece, Salonika, numbering about 50,000 Jews, was in the German zone. Anti-Jewish measures started in the summer of 1942 and mass deportation in March 1943. From then until August 1943, 48,674 of the Salonika's Jews were sent to the extermination camps, mainly Auschwitz. About 1,950 returned alive, bringing the community's losses to 97% of human dynamics. The head of the Greek Orthodox Church, Archbishop Damaskinos, was the only head of a European church to officially demand from the German occupation authorities to stop the persecution of the Greek Jews. When the deportations of the Salonika Jews started in March 1943, Archbishop Damaskinos issued a declaration signed by 29 representatives of different organizations in Greece, the clergy, the national resistance, the police under Angelos Evert, and the Greek people responded to the appeal. Many Greek Christians risked their lives to save their Jewish compatriots. In March 1943, Jews living in the Bulgarian occupation zone of eastern Macedonia and Thrace were deported to the harbor of Lum on the river Danube, handed over to the Germans, and finally reached the extermination camp of Treblinka. Out of 4,200 Jews from these areas, some 200 survived. In the Italian occupation zone, comprising the rest of mainland Greece and several islands, no racial laws were enforced. The 12,500 Jews living in the Italian zone came under German rule after the capitulation of Italy in September 1943. From March 1944, mass arrests and deportations started in all the remaining Jewish communities. The ancient Romaniote tradition was annihilated, as 92% of the Jewish population of western and southern Greece was murdered. The Jews of Rhodes were the last to be deported in late July 1944. The genocide, Shoah, claimed the lives of about 65,000 Greek Jews, 87% of the total. Their property and businesses were seized. Art, treasures, and libraries belonging to Jewish communities were confiscated and plundered. Their synagogues and cemeteries were destroyed. When the war ended, about 10,000 Jews were still alive in Greece.
So here we have in this picture, 10,000 Jews.
Almost 10,000 male Jews were ordered to assemble in Liberty Square, Thessalonica, on Saturday, 11th July 1942 by the Nazis. They were kept standing under the scorching sun with uncovered heads from 8 p.m. till 2:30 a.m., beaten and forced to perform ridiculous exercises. Several died and others were taken away to forced labor camps.
Here's the site of the destroyed Jewish cemetery.
The site of the destroyed Jewish cemetery of Thessalonica. Its 500-year-old tombstones were displaced and broken, and several were used to line a swimming pool for the German forces. Mass arrests of Jews from Thrace, 1943. Wow.
And if we go around here, we have the Archbishop.
The official protest by Archbishop Damaskinos. I won't read it.
Yes. The fate of the Jewish.
The fate of the Jewish compatriots did not leave the Christian population of Greece indifferent, as the anti-Semitic measures of the Germans toughened. When the deportations began, at first from Thessalonica and later from other areas all over Greece, indignation rose among common people against the treatment of Greek Jews. And that's it. I can't read more. It's hard for me. Okay.
So when the deportations began, at first from Saloniki and later from other areas over Greece, indignation rose amongst the common people against the treatment of Greek Jews. Orthodox monasteries opened their gates to receive and hide Jews, mainly children, trying to escape the Nazis. Orthodox clergy of all ranks protested to the occupation authorities. So, for instance, the metropolite of the Saloniki orally instructed the city's priests to advise their flock that no demonstrations of contempt or discrimination were to be made against Jews. When the Germans made them wear the yellow star, he even went to the length of making a representation to the German military administrator in Saloniki, Dr. Max Merten, for the deportation of the city Jews to cease. Likewise, the metropolite of Volos urged the Jewish population to flee, organizing their hiding in Christian families. He was also entrusted with the keeping valuables for several escaped Jews, which he did at grave danger to his own life, kept safety for the duration of the wars. Everything was returned to the rightful owners after its end. In the city of Chalkis, Metropolite Georgios offered also a danger to his life to keep his own house and 6 Sefer Torah scrolls of the synagogue. He returned them to the community after the war, at the same time donating a rare 15th century book on Jews in order to contribute to the rebuilding of the community's looted library. The protest culminated in 2 memoranda by the Archbishop of Athens and Greece, Damaskinos. On the 1st of March 1943, the president of the Greek puppet government, Logotheretopoulos, asked him to intervene in the name of the Greek people to the occupation authorities in order for the persecution of the Greek Jews to stop. He went on to defend the Jewish presence in Greek social life, stressing how well Greek Jews had to then integrated. He further reminded him of the clause in the capitulation document of 41, which stated that the occupation authorities undertakes to protect and honor the property of all Greek citizens, making no distinctions whatsoever. The 2nd of March 1943, to the same effect, went directly to the Reich Plenipotentiary for Greece, Attenborough. Both memorabilia were signed by many leading figures of Greek society, as well as an act which certainly demanded a lot of courage under the reign of terror by the SS. Here we have the yellow star. These are documents. Saloniki. Dedicated in the memory of Jews of Corfu who perished during the Holocaust. And here's a very visual artwork of the Shoah. Bedanik, this is a map of Poland with the death camps.
Yeah, these are all the artifacts that were found. Right, these artifacts are representative of the personal wealth of the Jews living in the Bulgarian occupation zone of Greece, confiscated by the Bulgarian authorities. The owners were sent to the extermination camps of Treblinka on the 7th of March 1943. Displayed are bonds, valuables, currency, and personal jewelry. The cloth bags still retain the wax seals and the accompanying inventory inscription of contents. Most of the artifacts exhibited were here bear recognizable Jewish names. The 2 photographs have been enlarged from pictures found in 2 lockets.
the knives and the forks.
Oh, look at that.
And here's a Magen David as a
And
crown.
these are the Torah scrolls over here. You see these little, they wore them as necklaces or jewelry.
With Magen David.
Yeah. Look at
Here's
the glasses.
eyeglasses.
Wow.
A becher, a cup.
Yeah. Look at that. Brushes. Yeah, this is an interesting story. Let me just see where the story is. I read it here. Oh, here. Okay. These are all artifacts, all things that were left, they were found. Shields of David, the Ein Magen David, that's number 1. I don't know if you can see it. Shields of David. No, it's not here. Okay, where is that one? Oh, that's at the top. They took it away.
Okay.
Order issued by German troops, SS police chief in Greece, restricting Jewish movements, which is number 2. Where is that number 2? I can't see it. I think they removed quite a bit. Oh, over there. Can you see that?
No, but this is the number 2. This is the...
Oh, there we go. Okay, order issued by General Strupp, SS and police chief in Greece, restricting Jewish movements and contact, published in the Greek daily newspaper, Radini. Number 3. 3 is over here. Where is 3? 3 on the side, but we can't, can you see it? Oh, here we go. 3. Okay, right. 3 on the side are notes handwritten on paper and cloth by Jacob, Zach, and Samuel Susius, imprisoned with other family members in Haidan camp in Athens. These notes, including the farewell written by Zach Susius and his pocket watch, were sent to Zach's wife, Louisa, before they were all deported to Auschwitz in April 1944. Their names have been included in Hadari prisoner lists drafted by the Greek Red Cross. Bed sheet, number 4. Can you see the bed sheet? Number 4. Where's bed sheet? Can't see number 4. Here, here's the bed sheet over there, that white sheet. White cotton with stamps from Bergen-Belsen Hospital, 1944 to 1945.
It says Bergen, yeah.
5 articles of clothing. Right, can you see the articles of clothing there? Can you see all those clothing? Right. Used by Morris Gategno from Thessalonica during the 2 years, 1943 to 1945, he spent with his parents and his sister Flora in the concentration camp of Bergen-Belsen. Then 5A, cap, glove and vest, handmade from Red Cross blanket in Bergen-Belsen. Child's knitted socks and gloves, made in Bergen-Belsen, 1943. Knitted sock, made in Bergen-Belsen. Blankets woven with cheap wool and human hair, made in Bergen-Belsen.
Human
Wow.
hair.
Child's knitted socks and gloves, okay, blankets, right. Wooden clogs, made in Bergen-Belsen, belonged to Morris's father, Alberto Getegno. Right, wow. You see the wooden clogs? Yeah. Okay. Armband, the swastika. That's in the F. And let's see there, it's at the bottom there. Can you see it?
Yeah.
From Hitler Jugend Division, combatant unit that was enlisted to the SS towards the end of the war. And German Army label pin in the shape of swastika, removed by Morris and Flora from a young soldier after the liberation. G, enamel bowls. Can you see the enamel bowls? Right. And cup, used by Morris Gategno in Bergen-Belsen. H, shoemaker's tools, wood and metal, used by Morris Gategno in Bergen-Belsen. Wooden boat, flat wooden pistol, and small wooden clog carved by Morris Gutaglo in Bergen-Belsen. Wow, amazing what he did. Brass menorah, there we go. Found by Edna de Botten Skiaki in abandoned house in Germany in 1945. Wow. Okay. Child's knitted socks made by Ed Skiaki in Bergen-Belsen, 1943-1945. Drawings in charcoal. That's number 10. Can you see number 10?
Yeah,
where is it?
over there.
Ah, there we go. Drawings in charcoal. Right. Made by Alex Kurliansky in Auschwitz.
Wow, in Auschwitz.
Porcelain cup. Standard issue by inmates of hospital for genetic experiments at Auschwitz, issued to Mazel Tov Morda, who kept it after her release in 1945. Cloth towel made from hessian by Lisa Pinchas in Auschwitz. And postcards sent from Auschwitz-Birkenau by Hella and her daughter Erika Cunha of Salonika to a relative in Switzerland, 1943 and 1944. Unbelievable, hey? See, they wanted to document what was happening, so he drew pictures. Les, look how the detail.
Amazing.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Wow. That's incredible. Amazing what visual things can do. This is made from human hair as well.
It's so heavy.
Oh my God. What do you think? Yeah. This is unbelievable. Let's see. Wrought iron transom from a window of a now destroyed house in the Jewish quarter of Corfu. Silver filigree section of Ner Tamid, lamp hanging over the Holy Ark, from Rhodes Synagogue. Where is that? Number 2. Oh, that is that. Okay, wow. Number 3, mezuzah. Can you see the mezuzah?
Yeah.
Small container affixed to the right doorpost, enclosed in a piece of parchment on which is written the Shema, prayer from Deuteronomy. Wooden mezuzah from Patra Synagogue. Mezuzah from Patra Synagogue. Tin mezuzah. Siddur prayer book from Learning. The Italian occupation authorities did not cooperate with the Nazi racist laws in the Italian occupied zone. Italian and Spanish passports were offered to anyone who had the remote association with either nationality. Also, the Greek Commissioner of Athens Police, Angelos Evert, issued false ID cards giving Christian names and identities to Jews. Then you got 5, ID card issued to David Usher, Athens. False ID card issued by David Usher with his name, Demetrios Stavros. False ID card issued to Alfredos Maldor. False ID card issued to Cecil. Propaganda magazine issued by the Nazi occupation authorities with anti-Semitic caricature. Wooden Magen David, a shield of David from Patras, and bronze cup found in ruins of the Poliot Synagogue Corfu. Section of burnt Sefer Torah from the destroyed synagogue of Rhodes.
Rhodes, this is from our Rhodes.
Wow. This is amazing, Candice.
Here we have the Greek righteous amongst the nations.
I would look at this first. This is an interesting story of Xanthos.
Xanthos, okay.
Okay. Yeah. While all over Greece, the persecution and deportation of the Jews had been effectively carried out by Germans, the island of Xanthos became the unique exception. Two courageous men, the island's metropolite, Christomos Demetrio, and the mayor of Xanthos, Luca Carrera, achieved a feat without precedent. They managed to protect the entire Jewish population of the island from the fate of the less fortunate co-religionists elsewhere. Having studied in Germany, the bishop first earned the German authorities' esteem to make use of it when the need would arise. This occasion was not long to come. In late 1943, the German commanders of the island, the Herens, called the mayor to his office and demanded from him, at gunpoint, a list of all the island's Jews. The mayor and the bishop tried to bide their time, but the Herens would not relent. Those were his orders from the general headquarters. After much soul-searching, for they were in grave danger themselves, the two men arrived at the courageous decision. The list would contain only two names, Metropolite Xanthos Christamos and Mayor of Xanthos Lucas Carrera. The German commanders were stupefied, together with the open letter addressed Hitler himself, where the bishop undertook full responsibility for the conduct of the island's Jews. The two documents were forwarded to the GHQ. There they obviously made such an intense impression that the order for the Jewish roundup was recalled. Despite that, and for good measure, all of the island Jews were dispersed from the city of Xanthos to the villages where Christians hid and fed them. That way, thanks to the influence, courage, and determination of the island's two leading personalities, as well as that of local population in 275 Jews of Xanthos survived, without a single loss, a war that annihilated their kin elsewhere. Wow, that's an amazing story. Deserves a picture. Wow. Incredible. That is amazing. Can I just take a picture of this? Wow. Let me just get the reflection of it.
And here's the Greek righteous amongst the nations.
Yeah. In 1953, the State of Israel recognized officially in the 9th article of Martyrs and Heroes Remembrance Law, Yad Vashem, the term righteous among the nations as the honorary title for the high-minded righteous who risked their lives to save Jews, in spite of the fact that protecting Jews during World War II was considered a heavily punishable crime, even by the death sentence. Nowadays, a public commission of Yad Vashem, headed by a Supreme Court justice, examines the behavior and the life of persons who, according to testimonies, contributed with their acts and their attitude to the rescue of Jews.
Excuse me?
Once proven... Where did my boss? Greek righteous among the nations. In 1953, the State of Israel recognized officially in the 9th article of the Martyrs and Heroes Remembrance Law, Yad Vashem, the term righteous among the nations as an honorary title for the high-minded righteous who risked their lives to save Jews, in spite of the fact that protecting Jews during World War II was considered a heavily punishable crime, even by the death sentence. Nowadays, a public commission of Yad Vashem, headed by Supreme Court Justice, examines the behavior and life of persons who, according to testimonies, distributed with their acts and their attitude to the rescue of Jews, once proven that the candidate helped without any kind of return, he or she is rewarded in a special ceremony. Individuals recognized as righteous among the nations are rewarded in a specially minted medal bearing their name, an honorary certificate, and the privilege of their names being added to the wall of honor in the Garden of the Righteous at Yad Vashem in Jerusalem. The Medal of the Righteous bears inscribed the Talmudic saying, "Whoever saves a single life saves an entire universe." Sanhedrin 37:71. The full meaning of the saying is amply demonstrated when survivors' families come together to honor a rescuer. By the end of 2018, Yad Vashem recognized over 20,362 righteous from 52 countries. Up to January the 1st, 2019, Yad Vashem awarded honorary titles to 355 individuals in Greece that during the hard times of the German occupation had in any possible way helped their Jewish compatriots. Individuals hid Jews in their own houses at grave danger to their families. They kept them, fed them, and informed, and in many occasions helped them to escape to the mountains in order to join the resistance or flee by boat to Turkey and Palestine. Their example remains a beacon of the finest human spirit for all times.
Especially from the island of Sekma. Then we have also now here the Greek Jews in the national resistance. So Jews also fought.
Okay. Greek Jews in the national resistance. We, the Jewish partisans who fought the enemy, had the enormous satisfaction of vindicating the unjust loss of our people, and during the period of occupation we were proud that we never surrendered or submitted to the will of the Germans. We preserved our bodies and souls, but we paid for them with great sacrifices. This is M. Matzas, resistance fighter. National resistance organizations like EAM, ELAS, EDES, or ECA were set up from the fall of 1941 following the German occupation of the country. In January 1943, EAM, ELAS called upon the Greek Christians to help save their Jewish compatriots from Nazi persecution. The partisans forewarned community leaders and populations of impending deportations, in many occasions saving scores of lives. The chief rabbi of Athens, Elias Barzilai, and Rabbi Moses Pesach of Volos worked closely with the resistance to organize safe escape to the mountains for themselves and their co-religionists. The leaders of several Jewish communities made an appeal to world Jewry to help the Greek resistance acquire equipment. From early 1943, many Greek Jews joined the resistant movements, including those hiding in the mountains under the protection of the various local groups. The Greek Jews involved with the resistance are estimated at about 9,000. Up to 650 Jewish men and women fought with the resistance to avenge the persecution of their kin and to liberate their country. They were highly valued on account of their training and high level of literacy. They served in combat units as staff officers, soldiers, and quartermasters, or in auxiliary posts such as public administrators, doctors, nurses, and interpreters between the British and the local resistance. Many were active in intelligence work in Greece, in the Middle East, and in other countries to which they had escaped, while others fought with the Greek naval forces and the Greek troops in North Africa. Even though many of the Greek Jews who fought in the national resistance did so under nom de guerre, the real names of several became known later. Louis Cohen from Xanthi, known as Capitan Kronos, Salvatore Baccalas from Ioannina, called Sotiris, and many others. An estimated 100 Greek Jews died fighting in the resistance. Sadly, due to the post-war political situation in Greece, most of them remain largely unrecognized and forgotten.
Here's a document regarding Isaac Jeremias, prisoner of Auschwitz-Birkenau, issued by the Greek Red Cross 11th of the 8th, 1945. Certificate of Greek citizenship issued to Isaac by the Swedish consulate in Prague on the 13th of the 6th, 1945. ID card, Union of Greek Holocaust issued to Erikos Sabila, former inmate of Auschwitz-Birkenau 45. Liberation papers issued to Jacob Yaskel, former inmate of Auschwitz-Birkenau in Nuremberg in July 45. This is after the war. And ID card issued to Greek Reparation Officer Jacob Yisrael from Saloniki in Athens. This is number 5. ID card to the Greek Holocaust survivors, Miss Catel from Adrianopol 45, deported persons index card issued to Albertos Nixtel in 1945. And an ID card issued by the Greek Reparation Office to Albekos Mescatel from Adrianopol, also in 45 in October. The photograph is of Leon Batis, probably taken in Bucharest in 45, first survivor of Auschwitz-Birkenau who returned to Greece in 45. His account of what had taken place in the camps met with stunned disbelief. So this is a survivor who came back and people really didn't believe him. Here we have a spoon. Liberation object belonged to Paula Solema from Saloniki, and this they found in Germany. And a comb. The comb belonged to Paula Solema from Saloniki. And the Odyssey of Lisa Pinchas from Salonika. After the German occupation of Salonika, Lisa Pinchas was moved to the Hirsch camp. From there, in early March 43, she was deported to Auschwitz-Birkenau. Here's a picture. With the approach of the Russian army in January 45, she was transported first to the camp of Ravensbrück and then to the Reclam camp. By mid of April 45, where she was forced to march as the Russians advanced. She achieved freedom on the 29th of the 4th, 1945, when the SS guards of this death march had vanished suddenly. And then she returned to Greece. And the blouse, which is above, embroidered quotes made by Lisa Pinchas shortly after her return to Greece, an attempt to give herself the courage and inspiration. Here's all her ID number, ticket stubs, ID cards, Austrian Red Cross travel pass, telegram. This is all after the war. Immigration card for Palestine, issued in 45, but she never took advantage of it. ID card of UNRWA. ID card of the Union prisoners in Poland, and reparation papers of the Red Cross, which is issued in Athens in 1945. That is the story of a survivor, Lisa Pincus, who was born in Saloniki in 1917 and passed away to eternal resting place in 1980.
The photographic portraits of Greek Jewish survivors, the Nazi camps, who after the war resettled in Greece, aged between 77 and 104, the subjects of the photographic portraits surrendered to a dynamic silence. These faces recorded in World War II history unfold their memory in front of the photographic lens. Portraits of Auschwitz survivors, as well as Greek Sephardic Jews who were deported to Bergen-Belsen camp, are on display. In 2012, the artist Artemis Akalai had been researching, traveling all over Greece and abroad, and meeting with survivors of the thriving pre-war Jewish communities, while building a bridge between historical documentation and art. The artist combines the survivor with her own artwork from the series Home of Wandering within the same frame. The archetypal shape of the home hearth, a manifestation of joy, happiness, and family warmth, recall memories and begins a fruitful dialogue between past and present, trauma and healing, speech and silence. According to the journalist Nikos Vatapoulos, for Artemis Akalai, every meeting was a personal subversion as well as an opening, each time in a different world. She found herself with these heroic everyday figures who carried the number of the camp, the stain on their arm, a sign that points to the trauma that activates the memory.
Εδώ τις χώρες έχεις ποτάμια που δίδονται. Είναι οι περιοδικές εκθέσεις είναι εδώ. Και αυτή η ειδική έκθεση. Εδώ είναι εδώ και εδώ θα είναι ο χώρος της περιοδικής έκθεσης. Στους δύο χώρους. Τώρα εδώ θα γίνει κάποια μελέτη γιατί θα είναι γραφές, οπότε θα γίνει κάποια μελέτη από τους αρχιτέκτονες και τους σχεδιαστές της έκθεσης, πώς προγραμματίζονται γιατί είναι μάρμαρα και τέτοια. Οπότε δεν ξέρω αν γιατί τώρα μπορείτε να επέμβετε εδώ.
Την έκθεση αυτό που μας είπε ο προτείνει ο
Ναι, πώς θα το βοηθήσει.
Επίσης θα υπάρχει ένα παρελθόν ανεξάρτητα από το κομμάτι της έκθεσης που την περίοδο. Σίγουρα οι ράγες είναι τις παλαιές, είναι παλαιό σύστημα. Είναι το μόνο ψυχολογείο που πρέπει να το δούμε. Δηλαδή, αν οι κυρίες θα πει ότι θα αλλάξουν μόνο το γενικό σύστημα, δεν θα τις ράγες.
This is image uniform jacket of Moses Arditi, born in Saloniki in 1929, born in Auschwitz-Birkenau extermination camp from 43 to 45. In Birkenau, Moses was responsible for transferring dead bodies from the barracks. He was sent along with other 800 inmates, most of them were Greeks, other non-Polish speaking people to Warsaw to clear the rubble after the suppression of the Warsaw Ghetto uprising in spring 43. He survived and settled in Athens, but never went back to Salonika.
You know where most of the Jews died, yes?
Yeah.
In the German occupation zone. Did you know that Greece was divided into 3 occupation zones?
It was the Bulgarian, the Italian, and the worst part was the German. These are stories of survivors. Mayo, born in 1928. Certificate issued by the Spanish general in Athens, Camarero, assessing the marriage of Marcelo Cohen to Ina Cohen, as well as the wife. And this was the application for a 90-day travel permit to commercial regions, bearing the false name of Mavrikos. Travel permit by land and round trip to Wallace. Commercial wishes issued to Marissa's son brothers. These all had false names. And with these documents, people were saved. False and original documents enabled Jews to hide and to escape. False ID cards issued by the Athens police and different police departments. All false documents, which these documents saved many Jews.
Να σου πω, σήμερα και ενώ δεν βάλαμε έγκυρες του 2008.
So everyday objects used by the Baptist family while hiding in a Neo or Lero in Veronas in Athens in 1943-1944.
Right, this is a project that kids, Greek children did in their schools. In 2017, they took pictures of children who had perished in the Holocaust, and they drew pictures of them in their memory. So they tried to copy the exact picture with their name on, of what what you can see in the picture, but obviously using colors and because all these pictures are in black and white. So it's really beautiful. It's a lovely way of remembering the children that died in the Holocaust.